Alright, buckle up folks, and welcome to the very first video on my channel. What better way to kick things off than with one of the most chaotic and over-the-top games of the mid-2000s, Saints Row. If you've never heard of it, you've clearly missed out on a gaming era where ridiculousness was currency and logic got curb stomped in the alley behind the strip club. This game is everything, a gang war sim, an unapologetic parody, and in some ways the spiritual cousin to Grand Theft Auto 4. If Grand Theft Auto 4 snorted energy drinks and screamed YOLO at every stoplight. Where GTA flirted with gritty realism, Saints Row took that idea out back and beat it with a purple dildo bat. Was it subtle? Absolutely not. But was it fun? Hell yeah. So we're gonna break the whole thing down. The gangs, the characters, the total madness, and yeah, I've got some opinions. Not just on the story, but why this absurd, chaotic mess works so damn well. So grab a snack, crack a drink, hit that like and subscribe, and let's jump into the beautiful trash fire that is Saints Row. First off, the intro to the game wastes no time getting wild. You start by creating your own character, and I mean really creating them, not just picking from some preset nonsense. You can tweak everything, from the face, the hair, the clothes, even their swag. You want a mohawked gangster in a three-piece suit? Go for it. You want to look like a raccoon dragged you out of a dumpster and handed you a gun? Also a valid option. Your choices and your chaos. And it doesn't just look like your guy. It feels like your guy. You're the star in a B-movie crime saga where the script was written on a bar napkin. If you've ever had an ounce of inner gangster, this is where it kicks open the door and really flips the table. So you just finished creating your perfect monstrosity, and then bam, you're dropped into Stillwater. And let's take a second to talk about Stillwater because man, this city feels alive. Even in 2006, this game did something that a lot of its competitors couldn't. It made the world around you feel like it existed without you. Pedestrians react, cops chase criminals that have nothing to do with your mission, people argue on sidewalks, car alarms go off, panic NPCs run from gunshots. You'll even spot dealers doing their business in back alleys. You might be driving to a mission only to get sidetracked by a random car crash or shootout. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and it adds that wild energy Saints Row is known for. Stillwater doesn't just feel like a backdrop, it's a living organism, buzzing with crime, chaos, and potential mayhem. And then there's you. You show up minding your own business, when surprise, you're suddenly in a three-way gang shootout between the Vice Kings, West Side Rollers, and Los Carnales. Things go sideways fast, and just when you think you're about to get Swiss cheesed, in comes Julius and Troy, pulling you out of the mess and introducing you to the 3rd Street Saints. And naturally, they don't hand you a welcome basket. You gotta earn your place if you want to be part of this crew. But before you can be considered a saint, you have to go through canonization first.
Yeah. Who the fuck's this guy?
Troy and I found him. We're gonna see if he'll ride with us.
Julius, if he wants to run with the Saints, he gotta be canonized.
Hey, he's right, Julius. Everyone had to do it.
You ready for this, player?
Basically, they jump you in. You've got to fistfight a bunch of saints to prove you belong. If you win, you're in. And Johnny Gat, the king of one-liners and reckless homicide, roasts you for taking too long.
Shit, took me half the time.
If you lose, well, Troy gives you a little pep talk about how everyone gets their ass kicked at first. Either way, congrats. You're now a part of the most dysfunctional family in Stillwater. I think it's funny how they use the word canonized. It's like a clever little joke. So it's actually a Catholic term for making someone a saint. Here, it just means you get punched in the face 5 times and now you're in a gang. Divine violence, baby. Gotta love it. Once you're in, it's time to take back the row. This is where the game teaches you how to spread mayhem professionally. You got stronghold missions, turf wars, rival gangs, and more bullets than plot at this point. It's technically just a tutorial, but that doesn't stop it from throwing you into drive-bys and grenade parties right out the gate. Eventually, you'll clear out the Saints' turf and regroup at their HQ, a busted-up church that doubles as your war room. It's here you get your first real taste of the mission structure and meet the wild crew that you're going to be rolling with. So, who the hell are the Saints, and why should you care? Well, it all starts with Julius Little. Julius is the boss, the OG, the guy with the plan. He's got that wise uncle who could still kick your ass energy. Julius isn't about glory, he's about justice. He's been around the block and his mission is pretty simple. Protect his people and bring order to Stillwater. The man is voiced by Keith David, which means everything that he says sounds like it was carved into marble.
Listen up, people. I got some serious shit to discuss.
Next up is Troy. Troy is Julius's right-hand man. He's the voice of reason and the guy who prefers to talk things out instead of setting things on fire, which probably makes him the least fun person at a Saints party. Troy actually refuses to take on the Vice Kings when Julius asks him. Why? Well, that's actually the million-dollar question. Was it fear? History? Maybe he has a crush on King?
Hey, Troy, you dealing with the Vice Kings.
Not a chance.
Fuck you say?
Anyone but them.
Who knows? Either way, Johnny Gat ends up stepping in, and Troy's more comfortable handling literally anyone else. Now, this is where things get spicy, with my man, Johnny Gat. Literally the greatest video game character that I've ever come across in all my years of gaming. Johnny Gat is a walking war crime in human form, and we love him for it. He's fearless, reckless, and completely unhinged. When Troy chickens out, Johnny volunteers to take down the Vice Kings without even blinking.
Man, fuck that. I'll take King out.
Johnny, it's not that simple.
Bullets still kill motherfuckers, right? Doesn't get much simpler than that.
Julius knows better than to let him run wild, so he assigns him a babysitter. But let's be honest, nobody can really babysit Johnny Gat. He's like if a Molotov cocktail had opinions.
Keep an eye on your boy.
I don't need a fucking babysitter, Julius.
Keep an eye on your boy.
And then comes Dex. Dex is the brains of the operation. He's the tech whiz, the strategist, and the guy who keeps Johnny from turning every mission into a fireworks show.
Why not? Because I'm not a gun-toting psychopath named Johnny Gat.
When it comes time to go after Los Carnales, who are basically a cartel with extra seasoning, Dex takes the lead. He's cool under pressure, always 5 steps ahead, and probably the only person in the crew who knows what a spreadsheet is. Now, Lynn is the Saints' infiltrator and driver. She's been undercover with the West Side Rollers, which is honestly the most dangerous job in the gang, because if they find out she's a Saint, it's game over. She's sharp, temperamental, and has a hell of a right hook.
I didn't think the Rollers pimped hoes.
Oh, and she knows her way around the engine better than most mechanics in Stillwater. Well, now that you've met the Saints, the crew that you're going to be running with, let's talk about the real problem of the game, everyone else. The Saints are up against 3 major gangs in Stillwater, and each brings their own flavor of chaos. There's the Vice Kings, the flashy, money-driven media moguls of the gang world, the West Side Rollers, street racers with more chrome than brain cells, and Los Carnales, a brutal drug cartel that takes organized crime a little bit too literally. Each gang comes with its own set of missions, enemies, and insane storylines. So the action never gets stale. You're not just climbing the criminal ladder, you're bulldozing it with a rocket launcher. But before we get into the actual gameplay, we need to talk about the main weapon in the Saints Row's arsenal, the voice acting. While the graphics were decent for 2006, it's the voice performances that really give this game its soul. The cast is stacked. Keith David as Julius brings gravitas and authority like only Keith David can.
Yeah, we cleared out the row. You think for a second that's gonna stop them? Unless we wipe all these motherfuckers out, they're gonna keep coming.
Michael Rappaport's take on Troy adds street smart, no nonsense vibe. And of course there's Johnny Gat with some of the most hilarious voice lines in the game. He's voiced by Daniel Day Kim, who does an amazing job.
So you're Julius's new boy, huh? You don't look like much. Then again, I don't look like I have an 8-inch cock, so I guess we're both full of surprises.
These performances are the Saints. They're what make these characters feel real even when the situations are completely over the top. And Saints Row doesn't waste time trying to be subtle. It hands you a baseball bat, throws some purple gear at your face, and says, go make money and earn respect. And you do, because in Stillwater, those two things, cash and respect, are keys to everything. So cash is the obvious one. It's what's in your wallet. You get it from missions, you get it from territory control, and you can spend it on clothes, cars, bling, or whatever else screams, I'm a fashionable criminal with poor impulse control. Owning territory means that you get daily income, and the more blocks that you paint purple, the richer you get. Simple. Respect, on the other hand, is the more interesting currency. It's not about money, it's about your street cred. You need respect to unlock new missions and strongholds, which means you can't just sprint through the main story. You gotta earn it. And how do you do that? By throwing yourself into traffic and calling it insurance fraud. Yeah, no, that's actually an activity. So you gain respect by doing these side activities, murking rival gangs or cleaning up graffiti. You can boost your respect gains through your style level, which is determined by how much drip you got. The game rewards fashion, and if your drip is purple, well, that's even better. Purple gets you bonus respect because, you know, loyalty, you're repping the Saints and the game loves that. Now, technically, you don't have to wear purple, you can wear whatever you want. But I mean, come on, you're in the 3rd Street Saints. You think the crew's gonna respect somebody that looks like they shop at Beige and Boring? The game doesn't force you into the gang colors, but it definitely nudges you, and it works. You want to wear purple. You want to look like you belong, like you run the streets, because, well, eventually you will. It's not just about the bonus respect anymore. It's about your pride as a Saint. And that's where Saints Row nails it. This isn't just a mechanic, it's the identity. The game weaves the style system into its world so well that suddenly you're not grinding for respect, you're building your rep, your image, and your legacy. You're not just a character in a game, you are a member of the Saints. But to earn that precious respect, you've got to dive into the side activities. And Saints Row has a whole menu of chaos ready for you to dine on. These aren't your typical go here, shoot that side quests. No, these are far more absurd. Each activity has 8 levels that get harder as you go. But the payout in cash, respect, and prizes make it more than worth it. So here's a quick rundown on the activities that you can tackle. First, there's insurance fraud. This is where you literally yeet yourself into traffic, get launched 40 feet in the air, and rack up medical bills. It's gloriously stupid and somehow the most addicting thing in the game. Mayhem, it's pretty simple. You destroy everything, cars, signs, storefronts, and you get paid to unleash chaos. The more chaos you unleash, the more you rack up your total. Once you hit a certain amount, stage cleared. Escort is where you drive around while your passenger conducts business in the back seat. Your job is to avoid the news vans trying to record it. It's ridiculous, it's sleazy, it's just Saints Row.
4 out of 5 dentists recommend this.
And then there's drug trafficking, where you need to protect your dealer during deliveries, while the entire city just loses its mind. Gangs, cops, it doesn't matter, they're all coming after you, and you need to defend your guy while this happens. And then there's Snatch, and this is the first activity you unlock, and it sets the tone immediately. This is where you liberate ladies of the night from their rival pimps and bring them back to your pimp. Yeah, and it's just as crazy as that sounds. Of course, there's a chop shop where you need to find and deliver specific cars. Sometimes you need to add modifications for these cars. It's like being a criminal Uber driver with a side hustle in auto theft. Then, of course, there's hijacking, similar to a chop shop, but you don't need to add any modifications. But the drivers are much more aggressive, so you'll probably need to take these cars back by force. Then we got Demolition Derby, where you just smash cars and be the last one standing in the arena. And finally, of course, there's a racing activity.
3, 2, 1, go!
There's also Loan Shark. While not exactly an activity, but hey, if you need some quick cash, you can just borrow it from a shady guy and deal with the terrifying consequences later.
No, you piece of shit. I don't care. Did I say I was looking for excuses on my money?
And these activities aren't just filler. They're a core part of the experience. Sure, they gatekeep the story progression, but they also give you a reason to explore, experiment, and just play around. And the rewards? I mean, they're no joke. You can go from sprinting forever to having unlimited ammo, brand new cars, houses, all types of things that you can unlock from these activities. And when you're not flinging yourself into traffic and chauffeuring hookers, you're busy expanding your turf. Main missions move the story forward. Stronghold missions, meanwhile, are all about taking over gang-controlled areas. You roll in, clean house, and plant your own flag. But enemy gangs don't just let that slide. They'll try to take it back, and if they succeed, well, then you can say goodbye to that sweet daily cash flow. The result is a constant push and pull for territory, where every inch of the city you take feels earned. And when you're outnumbered and still come out on top, well, that's just peak Sate energy, baby. So before we dive into the story, I want to talk about one more little feature that I really enjoyed about this game. It's one of the best little touches in Saints Row, and that's the phone number system. As you explore Stillwater, you'll spot random ads with phone numbers on them. Call them, and boom, instant immersion. Some are jokes, some lead to voicemails, but a few actually do things. You can call a cab for fast travel, you can call NPCs for backup.
I'll be over as soon as this bitch is off the cock.
It's goofy and unexpected, but it makes the world feel real. And of course, this feature vanished in later games because Volition could just never let us have anything nice. But I thought it was really cool that you could just pick up your phone and call numbers. That was something in a game that I hadn't seen before up until this point. Alright, so you've got your crew, you got your colors, and your respect meter is starting to look, well, respectable. And now, it's time to pick a fight. So in Saints Row, you can take on the 3 rival gangs in any order. You can laser focus on one until they're dust, or flip between all 3 like a chaotic warlord with ADHD. But for my playthrough, I went straight for the Vice Kings. Why? 2 reasons. 1, they felt like the biggest long-term threat. And 2, they were actually the easiest gang to pick apart. Let me explain. The Vice Kings are run by Benjamin King, a man who wears suits more than he throws punches. King's whole vibe is less ruthless crime boss and more frustrated CEO who got his MBA in felony management. He's trying to go legit, laundering money through his businesses, cozying up with politicians, bribing judges, the whole 9 yards. Dude probably actually files his taxes. And while that makes him powerful on paper, it also makes him vulnerable. King's not trying to win through street fights. He's trying to outmaneuver you through red tape and backroom deals. He avoids the chaos because chaos is bad for business. So instead of bringing war to the streets, he tries to box the Saints in quietly through legal pressure and political favors. But here's the problem with that approach. We don't play by the damn rules. While King's out here playing chess, the Saints are flipping over the board and setting it on fire. He moves too slowly, always trying to cover his image, and that hesitation gives us all the space we need to strike first and strike hard. So yeah, Benjamin King may look like the biggest threat. He's got power, influence, and a whole city council in his pocket, but when it comes down to it, he's not built for war. He's built for image management, and in Stillwater, that just doesn't cut it. Going after the Vice Kings first felt like taking out the brains of the operation before they had a chance to use them.
You forgot who you talking to. My name is Benjamin motherfucking King. I'm the man who took my crew from being a bunch of baby gangsters in Sunnyvale to being one of the most influential and feared forces in the goddamn city. You know how I did that?
The Vice Kings, clad in gold and white and ruling over Stillwater's entertainment and prostitution empires, have one of the most layered and interesting arcs in Saints Row. They're not just another street gang, they're a corporate machine hiding behind the face of legitimacy. And at the top of that empire stands Benjamin King, a man torn between his past and his empire, his ideals, and the vultures circling beneath him. From the jump, you can sense this story is personal. We find out Julius and King were once brothers in arms. Together, they founded the Vice Kings, not to get rich, but to push back against the chaos Los Carnales brought to their neighborhood. Drugs, violence, corruption. The VKs were supposed to be the shield, but somewhere along the way, that shield turned into a business. And the business started to corrupt the men who built it. Julius was smart enough to walk away, but King stayed, and now their old dream stands in the Saints' way. But Julius doesn't want blood. If he can avoid killing Benjamin King, he will. The same can't be said for the rest of the Saints. But Benjamin King isn't running his empire alone. Every king needs a court, and unfortunately for him, his is filled with snakes. So let me introduce you to the holy trinity of headaches. Tanya, Tony, and Warren. One's sleeping her way to the top, one's punching everything that moves, and one's trying to turn a rap label into a war machine. So yeah, King really knows how to pick them. Each one has their own problem in their own special way, and they're all climbing over each other to see who can stab King in the back first. Tanya, once a working girl and now a power-hungry queenpin with zero loyalty and even less patience, Tanya runs the Vice King's prostitution ring, but what she really wants is everything else too. She's sleeping with Tony, whispering in King's ear, and plotting behind everyone's back. And that's all before breakfast. So Tony is what happens when you put a bouncer in charge of logistics. He's big, he's angry, and utterly loyal to King. Well, unless Tanya tells him otherwise. She's got him wrapped around her little finger like a velvet noose. He thinks he's protecting the empire, but really, he's just an overpaid bodyguard in a bad relationship. His answer to every problem is either punching it or yelling at it. Or punching it while yelling at it. And finally, there's Warren. So Warren runs Kingdom Come Records. That's the Vice King's attempt at fully going legit, which is ironic considering the place is basically a money laundering front held together by mixtapes and desperation. Warren feels like the gang never takes him seriously, probably because he's constantly trying to prove how street he is while wearing a designer suit. He's the kind of guy who'll start a gang war just to make people respect his hustle. Now, the Saints' war with the Vice King kicks off with what sounds like a Lifetime movie gone wrong. Johnny Gat's on-again, off-again girlfriend Aisha calls in a panic. Her sister and some other girls have been kidnapped by the Vice Kings.
Aisha, what a pleasant fucking surprise. Whoa, slow down. Okay, that's not slower, that's louder.
Naturally, Johnny sends you to go fix it. So off you go, guns blazing, straight into a VK stronghold, pulling off a daring rescue like it's just another Tuesday. After saving the girls and making it out alive, you finally meet Aisha. And boy, the drama. And she and Johnny have beef. Big beef. Aisha had dreams of leaving the row and making it big as a singer. But she ended up getting pulled into Benjamin King's shady record label, where the only thing more common than gold chains is artist exploitation. And now Aisha wants out. Johnny's still salty that she chose being on the billboard over bullets. He feels like she betrayed the row, like she turned her back on the gang and him.
Did you expect me not to take my shot?
No, I expected you to remember where you came from.
Oh, fuck you, Johnny.
Fuck me? Fuck you!
But under all that resentment, he still loves her. So they cook up a wild plan. Fake Aisha's death in a huge explosion at the record label. Not very subtle, but I guess it works. The plan goes mostly smoothly, minus one deranged, overly attached fan who thinks Aisha's album dropped just for him. The guy stalks you through the streets and even tries to run you off the road. But you shut that down and get the mission back on track. And then, kaboom, Kingdom Comes Records goes up in flame. Aisha dies, and Benjamin King gets a very loud, very explosive wake-up call. Before the smoke can even clear, the Saints decide to go all in and tear the VKs apart from the inside out. And it turns out, King's crew is already eating itself. This is where we're introduced to Tanya. She's a former prostitute and current head of Prawn's Court, the King's hospitality division. In the wake of the Kingdom Come fireworks show, it's time to hit the Vice Kings where it really hurts, their wallets. and that means Prawn Court. Johnny being Johnny comes up with a plan about as subtle as a rocket launcher at a bake sale. He wants to storm one of the king's biggest whorehouses and wipe out everyone. Vice kings, customers, that dude who just walked in for a foot massage, everyone. No survivors.
Who wants to die for a blowjob, right?
And well, we do exactly that. So we head out. We make it to the place, we kick down the door like it owes us money, and fill the place with enough hot lead to qualify as a grill. And we leave nothing but gold chains, regret, and a Diddy party-sized amount of fluids in our wake. With Prawn Court now Saints-controlled real estate and Benjamin King's empire taking hits on all sides, we cut to a cinematic power meeting. King sits down with his lieutenants Tony and Warren, and it's not a friendly boardroom chat. This is King laying down the law after losing the record label, Aisha, and now his most profitable stretch of street-side sin. He's trying to hold things together, but the cracks are already showing, and they're spreading fast. You can feel the tension rising. Trust is wearing thin, and if you listen close, you can almost hear Tanya sharpening her knife off screen. As the Saints tighten their grip on Prawn Court, the Vice King starts spiraling. Warren, still desperate to prove he's more than a glorified music exec with anger issues, pushes hard for some street-level retaliation, like real blood in the gutters gang war type shit. The man's itching to shoot something that isn't a diss track. But King, still clinging to his dream of going full legit, shuts it down. Instead of rolling out tanks, he rolls out lawyers. He pulls some strings with his army of dirty cops, hoping to drown the Saints in arrest warrants and harassment. Classic King. All politics, no bullets. But Saints don't scare easy. So King tries a bait and trap tactic, sending Tanya on the run to draw us into a setup inside an abandoned police station. You know, the perfect place to stage a massacre if you're trying to look respectable while definitely not committing multiple felonies. Of course, Johnny and the player aren't buying it. So we storm the police station, cut through King's goons like they're on easy mode, and chase Tanya through the rusted halls like we're filming a low-budget horror film. By the time we're done, King's little plan is blown up in his face, and Tanya's probably reconsidering her life choices. Johnny, of course, takes the opportunity to poke the bear. He starts throwing verbal jabs like it's open mic night, calling out Tony's blind loyalty, dragging Tanya's name through the dirt, and casually dropping the bomb that she's been sleeping with Warren behind Tony's back.
You packing anything else?
Just some rubbers. I was hoping I could get some of William's sloppy seconds. Guess I hit a nerve.
Do yourself a favor, stay down and shut the fuck up.
Without a second thought, Tony raises his shotgun and blasts Johnny in the leg at point blank range. But Johnny, the freaking badass, doesn't even scream. Dude tanks it like a psychopath, fueled by nothing but spite and the sheer will to wreck this guy's life. In one brutal, rage-filled move, Johnny tackles Tony, stabs him straight through the foot, giving the player just enough time to escape the scene. With Johnny captured, things get ugly fast. Cops swarm Saints Row like cockroaches, sweeping up our foot soldiers and putting pressure on the gang. But Johnny's capture, that doesn't break the Saints. It galvanizes them. They're pissed, they're motivated, and they want their guy back before Tony decides to finish the job. Back at the church, Dex pulls the crew together and hatches a plan. Exploit Tanya's new leash. After Johnny aired out her dirty laundry, Tony's been keeping her movements tight. Real tight. She's only allowed out once a day to check on the rebuilding efforts for Kingdom Come Records. So, how do we rescue our boy from the penthouse guarded by thugs, cops, and one very pissed off giant with a shotgun? Simple. You hijack the limo, throw on some sunglasses, and pretend you're Tanya's new driver. And of course, we pull off the switch like a pro, cruising Tanya's limo right up to the tower where Johnny's being held. Almost smooth as hell. Couple hitches in the plan, but we make it through. Once inside, things go sideways. Tony's waiting, and he's not in the mood for banter. Tony fights like a man with nothing to lose, but in the end, it's not enough. Johnny gets rescued, limping but alive, and Tony, well, let's just say he won't be coming after anyone anytime soon. And of course, Tanya manages to slip away in the chaos. Freaking snake in high heels, man. Back at the church, the vibe's pretty grim. Most of the Saints' foot soldiers are rotting away in jail cells, and with the cops in King's back pocket, the streets are crawling with blue uniforms looking to crack skulls. So a head-on assault would probably be suicide. That's where Dex steps in. Instead of blowing up buildings, at least for now, Dex says let's destroy their reputation. If the public turns against the Vice Kings, the cops, and by extension the chief of police, will have no choice but to back off. So we put on some shiny gold outfits, hop in stolen cars, and go on a citywide chaos tour. Robberies, destruction, public indecency, the works. All dressed like the Vice Kings. Stillwater turns on them faster than Tanya turns on her boyfriends. The cherry on top? Blowing up Alderman Hughes' statue. The guy is basically King's lapdog in a suit, and watching his smug face crumble, that was the chef's kiss. With the city against them, their political armor is starting to crack. Internally, it's even worse. Warren's trying to stage a coup to prove he's more than just a wannabe executive. Tanya's slithering through the wreckage, trying to snatch whatever power she can before it's gone. And King, he's stuck trying to hold it all together with duct tape and disappointment. Just as King starts to piece together a plan to push back against the Saint, Warren and Tanya are already making moves against him like vultures circling a dying lion. While King's busy calculating his next move, they stage a coup right in his penthouse.
Drop them damn flags and get the fuck out of here before I erase your ass.
I ain't going nowhere.
You ain't hearing me, son. I said.
Yo, fuck that. You ain't hearing me.
But don't count the old man out just yet. King goes full action hero, taking out several of his own would-be assassins with nothing but grit and furniture. He's eventually shot and forced to flee, but not before reminding everyone why he ran the VKs for so long. Back at the church, Julius busts in like a pissed off dad looking for his delinquent son. He wants Johnny, but surprise, Johnny took a personal day off to cuddle with Aisha. Real helpful, Gat. Instead, Julius finds you, and you get voluntold for a rescue mission. Turns out, King reached out to Julius for help. He's bleeding, betrayed, and held up in a park in the museum district while the Vice Kings are closing in. Julius orders the Saints to bring him back alive. What follows is basically saving Private King. You fight through waves of yellow suits, clear out a damn army, and finally find the man himself leaning against a park bench like it's just another Tuesday. You start to make your escape when Warren shows up, loud and angry. King ain't leaving until Warren's taken care of, so it's time for a high-speed shootout with a dude who looks like he belongs on a 90s rap album cover. You chase Warren down, blow his car straight to hell, and finally bring King back to the church. Mission accomplished, right? Wrong. Cut to Warren, barely alive, crawling from the flaming wreckage of his ride like some kind of action movie villain. He's bleeding, broken, and still reaching for power, until Tanya shows up and shoots him on the spot. And just like that, she takes the throne. Well, with King safe inside the church, the Saints regroup. Julius gives King a choice: walk away or die. Out of respect for their history, he offers King a clean exit, but King isn't done yet. At least not until Tanya's out of the picture. So King, Johnny, and the playa team up for one last warpath. Their first move, wipe out the last of the VK soldiers. The Saints hit several key locations, drawing the VKs into a massive police ambush. They fight their way through the chaos, dismantling the remaining opposition, clearing a path straight to Benjamin King's old stronghold, his penthouse office. And this is where the final showdown takes place. 4x4, the Saints gun their way through the last of the VK's defenders. The building is engulfed in chaos of gunfire, smoke, and bodies hitting the floor. It's an all-out war in the hallways. By the time they reach the elevator to the penthouse, there's a rare quiet moment. And for once, the player speaks. Just one line, but it's enough to say everything.
I'm gonna skull fuck that bitch.
Hope you don't mind hepatitis.
Then the elevator dings, the doors slide open, and Tanya is waiting. She opens fires, and the Saints and King fire back. It's fast, brutal, and desperate. When the smoke clears, Tanya's been blasted through the penthouse window, dangling from the ledge, pleading for help. King walks over and just steps on her hand. Just one final unforgiving gesture as Tanya falls to her death. And just like that, the Vice Kings are finished. King vanishes from Stillwater to lick his wounds, and maybe rethink the kind of empire he wants to build. Johnny takes some time to finally spend with Aisha, and the playa, they inherit the penthouse. King's legacy is now under new management. The Saints have won, the crown is theirs, and the Vice King's reign is over.
You did good in there, son. Here, I don't think I'll be needing these anymore.
With the Vice Kings buried under their own drama and a new penthouse to our name, it's time to turn our attention to the next group of Stillwater's delusional maniacs. The West Side Rollers. If the Vice Kings were business-minded thugs, the Rollers are straight-up adrenaline junkies with daddy's money and mommy's issues. Their claim to fame? High-speed street races, custom rides, and being just annoying enough to make you want to slash every tire in a 10-block radius. They dress in blue and white like they're in a boy band, but instead of singing, they steal sports cars and cause pileups on the freeway. These guys think Tokyo Drift was a documentary. Fortunately, we've got an ace up our sleeve, and that's Lynn. She's deep undercover with the Rollers, playing the long game and feeding us intel. And our plan is to hit them where it hurts, their precious imports. Lynn tips us off about a high-end shipment of sports cars coming into the city. These rides are headed straight for the Rollers' garage, and if we're fast enough, we can hijack the shipment before they even know it landed. The catch? We have to jack the cars without a single scratch. which is great because I love stealing things slowly and carefully, said no saint ever. Once we boost the rides, Lynn's mechanic rigs them with explosives. Subtle, right? The plan is to deliver the cars like nothing's wrong, get them into a roller's race, and then let physics and high-grade explosives do the rest. Oddly, there's no manual triggers on the bombs. Lynn says it's to make it look like an accident, but I mean, come on, only the roller's cars are going to explode mid-race. Pretty sure that blows our cover harder than the actual explosives. Anyway, in comes Troy. He insists on tagging along. Not because he's worried about Lynn or anything. Okay, I mean, fine, he's a little worried about Lynn, but mostly he just wants in on the chaos. His contribution is screaming insults at the other racers like we're in a demolition derby and not an elaborate trap.
You never had a chance. Don't even bother trying to catch up.
And somehow, it works. These clowns hit their nitrous out of pure rage, cooking their engines and triggering the explosive. Cars are flipping, fireballs are lighting up the track, Troy's laughing like a maniac, and I'm just trying not to crash into a flaming corpse that just got catapulted from a Mitsubishi. We weave through the chaos like pros, and by the time we cross the finish line, the Rollers Elite race is nothing but charged scrap and unclaimed insurance. The Rollers just got slapped in the face with a Nas can, and they don't even know who did it yet. The fallout from the rigged race hits the West Side Rollers like a brick through a windshield. Their best drivers are now vaporized, their new expensive rides are now charboiled, and their cool factor, somewhere between embarrassing and please don't post this on Instagram. In short, they're in full panic mode. They need new blood, and fast, and preferably somebody that hasn't already exploded. This is exactly what Lynn was waiting for. Now that the Rollers are desperate, she's got the perfect opening to climb higher up the food chain. That means getting closer to the man who's pulling the strings, Price. He's the one giving the orders behind the scenes, and if we want to gut the Rollers from the inside, we need to get right up in his grill. That's where Donnie comes in. Donnie is Price's personal mechanic and longtime stoner buddy. Donnie's a decent wrench monkey, but let's not kid ourselves. The guy couldn't fight his way out of a beanbag chair. He's the kind of guy who shows up to work high, forgets while he's there, and then asks the gang if they have a dental plan. But he's got one thing going for him. Price protects him like a little brother, and that makes Donnie the perfect soft target. Lynn's plan is straight up movie material. We stage a fake hit on Donnie's garage, wipe out the guards, and make it look like we're about to paint the walls with Donnie's brain. Then, right when things start to get spicy, Lynn swoops in, saves Donnie, and earns his undying trust. One problem, Lynn gives us a very clear warning before we roll out.
Make it look good, but don't you dare mess up my car. If we're lucky, Donnie will arrange a meet with Price. Thanks for buying my tea.
We hit the garage hard, storming the place like we're starring in a Michael Bay remake of Fast and Furious. Donnie freaks and bolts, just as we planned. Then Lynn tears onto the scene in her precious ride, scoops him up, and floors it like she's got nitro in her veins. To really sell the setup before Lynn pulls off, we unload a few rounds in her direction. And, oops, one of them tags her car. She slams on the brake, leans out the window, and opens fires on us like it's something personal. Over the radio, she's absolutely losing it. What follows is a glorious bullet-riddled escape sequence. We give chase, putting on a show for Donnie, who's practically crying in the passenger seat. He's too busy panicking to notice that Lynn isn't actually trying to get away from us. She's just dragging him deeper into their trap. After a few near misses and a whole lot of profanity, we back off and let Lynn lose us. Mission accomplished. Lynn wins Donnie's trust, we burn more bridges with the Rollers, and Lynn, she now has a bullet-sized hole in her car and a personal grudge against us. But the table is set. The Rollers have no idea of the grenade that we just dropped in their lap, and we're just getting started. The scene then cuts to Lynn driving Donnie back to Rollers HQ, aka Price's oversized McMansion. Neon lights, muscle cars, and enough testosterone to power a gym for a week. And finally, we get a full view of the man behind the madness. Price is the muscle-bound face of the Rollers. A walking Vin Diesel fever dream if I've ever seen one. He's got muscles, tank top, the it's all about family energy, and just enough charm to make you forget that he probably beat somebody with a wrench this morning. He's impulsive, quick to throw hands, and handles problems the same way he handles a gear shift, hard, fast, and with no brakes. But here's the twist. Beneath the neck vein popping rage, the guy genuinely cares. He's loyal to a fault, especially to his boy Donnie and the gang that he sees as his extended family. Then there's William Sharp. That's Price's uncle, the brains, the wallet, and the man who looks like he should be yelling at a caddy instead of financing a criminal empire. He's the man who wears loafers to a gunfight, judges you for your aim, and still somehow manages to leave with all the money. While Price rules through punch first, axe never mentality, Sharp prefers cold calculation and passive-aggressive power moves. If Price is Dom Toretto, then Sharp is the HOA president who funds Dom's garage, but absolutely hates the noise. As Lynn walks Donnie into this den of dysfunction, Price is all smiles. He's genuinely relieved to see that Donnie is safe. And when Lynn clocks him in the mouth for a dumb joke, he laughs pretty hard at that. He's clearly impressed by her. Sharp, meanwhile, is standing in the corner like someone just tracked mud all over his new Persian rug. Sharp makes it clear that he doesn't trust Lynn and forbids any business talk in front of her. He reminds Price that he's got a meeting to attend, and just like that, the two roller leaders are off. As they leave, Lynn and Donnie are left chilling on the couch. Donnie lighting up a blunt, and Lynn just soaking up every bit of intel she can. But Sharp's not done. While everyone else is kicking back, he's already moving behind the scenes, digging into Lynn's background. And even with Lynn trapped behind Roller's lines, she's still slipping us intel. Turns out, Price had rolled out to meet some buyers for a shipment of high-end car parts the Rollers are planning to swipe. Their big plan is to jack the trucks mid-transit, flip the parts for cash, and then blow it all on horsepower and heartbreak. Our job is to crash the operation before they can even find the ignition. So we blast across Stillwater like DoorDash drivers with a vendetta, taking out the Rollers crews truck by truck before they can pull off their big score. Hijackers get stomped, deliveries get saved, and we leave a trail of broken dreams and even more broken suspensions behind us. Meanwhile, back at Rollers HQ, Price comes through the door hotter than a vape at Coachella. Donnie's melted into the couch, lost in a cloud of regret and secondhand embarrassment, while Lynn's keeping her poker face locked down, just trying to soak it all in. Price is in full meltdown. The buyers are ghosting, the parts are gone, and the Rollers are looking less fast and furious and more confused and canceled. Desperate, Donnie stumbles out with a new plan. If they can't steal the shipment, they'll strip random cars from across the city for the parts they need instead.
Lynn and I did the math, and there are a couple of key cars that we can strip down to get the parts we need.
See what I tell you? This guy's a fucking genius. I'm gonna go get the boys ready.
So your plan is to go steal cars. You really know how to think outside the box, Donnie.
Price reluctantly agrees, but he still sends Lynn and Donnie out to get it done. And that means it's game time for our Saints. We blast through Roller's turf, running down their drivers, wrecking stolen cars, and turning their second chance into a smoking disaster. One by one, their backup plan gets shredded like expired coupons. And with that, it's mission complete. We head back to the church, crack open a beer, and wait for our next call from Lynn. The fallout from the botched car thefts hits the Rollers hard. Price is pacing the floor, throwing a full-blown tantrum, while Sharp just watches in cold silence. Their last shot at recovery just went up in smoke, and their buyers are not going to be patient about it. But while Price rants and raves like a toddler who missed nap time, Sharp starts connecting the dots. The pattern is pretty obvious. Their plans only started falling apart after Lynn showed up. Coincidence? To Sharp, it doesn't seem so. The math is simple. Lynn has to be a rat. And Donnie, he's the one who brought her in. Price immediately defends Donnie. He's a stoner, a screw-up, whatever, but he's still family. But Lynn, she's an outsider and a threat.
I don't give a shit what you do to Lynn, but you better not hurt Donnie.
Of course, Joseph. I'll keep that in mind.
We're hanging back at the church waiting on Lynn's next call when suddenly the phone lights up. She tells us she's got another lead on the Rollers and wants us to meet her somewhere. As she hangs up, the scene cuts from us at the church back to Lynn. She's tied to a chair, bloody but defiant, with Sharp looming over her. He already knows she's the leak, and now she's the bait. We roll up into the meeting spot, slicing through the Rollers' weak security like it's nothing. Room after room, we clear them out until we finally find Lynn. Before we can reach her, boom. We're blindsided off screen by one of the Rollers as Sharp steps into view, and we finally realize it was all a trap. The screen fades to black and we hear the sounds of a car stopping. Lynn questions where we are. Suddenly the trunk opens up and there we see Sharp and Donnie. Turns out that we were stuffed in the back of Lynn's ride. Sharp tells Donnie that Lynn's a rat, hands him a gun, tells him to kill her. But Donnie, being the squeamish stoner that he is, can't bring himself to do it. So Sharp does it himself. 2 shots ring out. One hits Lynn and one hits us. We can hear the sounds of the tires moving as we are being pushed towards the river. Sharp orders Donnie to help him, but Donnie, disgusted, just screams no, jumps in his car and bails out. We hear the tires squeal right before we feel the impact of us falling into the water. We struggle and claw and finally break our way out of the trunk. Swimming as hard as we can, we make it to the surface, grasping for air as we watch Lynn's car vanish into the water below. And she didn't make it. Dragging ourselves onto shore, battered and bleeding, we refuse to stop. Sharp couldn't have gotten far, so we jack the nearest car and hunt him down, kicking off a high-speed chase through the city. As engines and gunfire sounds cut through the night, we stay on Sharp's tail. And after a brutal pursuit, we send Sharp's car crashing in a fiery wreck. And before he can crawl away, we decide to finish the job, with an extra bullet for Lynn, just for good measure. But this isn't over, not even close. All of the Rollers are going to pay for what happened to Lynn. We'll tear through each of their compounds, crush their rackets, and when the dust settles, Price is next. But first, we need to regroup. We're bloodied but alive, so we head back to the church and meet with Julius to plan our final strikes. We're going to bring the war straight to the Rollers' doorsteps. But we're not the only ones getting ready for that. At the Rollers' compound, Price is losing it. He's furious over Sharp's death, and he's rallying what's left of his men. If the Saints want war, he's gonna bring it to him. He loads up every soldier he has and heads straight for Saints Row, planning to burn it down. But they'll never make it.
They fucked up our rates and we just took it. They fucked up our deliveries and we just took it. And now they killed my uncle, and who knows what the fuck they did to Donnie. Now I'm only gonna say this once. We're not gonna sit here and fucking take it.
Hell no. Shit. Yeah.
Light them up, boys. We're burning Saints Row to the ground.
We decide to ambush their convoy before they can reach the city. This time, the big OG boss, Julius, decides to ride along with us. So we ride shotgun as Julius drives. We finally catch up to the group on the highway and we carve through their forces in a full-blown highway battle. One by one, their cars are turned into scrap metal. But Price, driving his prized custom ride, barely manages to escape. So with Price now and hiding in the Rollers on their last leg, we move in for the kill. The target, the Rollers compound. So we storm this mansion, tearing through the last of Price's crew. When the smoke clears, we take his prized possession, his custom signature ride. Price won't be driving off into the sunset this time. With his empire now gone, most of his crew dead, and his power stripped away, Price is finished, but he refuses to die quietly. In a last desperate move, he loads up a semi-truck with stolen cars rigged to explode, planning to drive it straight into Saints Row and wipe out everything. But of course, we don't let that happen. Launching into a high-speed chase, we rip down the highway after him, blasting the explosive cars off the trailer one by one. The road becomes a gauntlet of fire and destruction until we land the final shot, igniting the entire truck in a massive explosion. Price's reign ends in a blaze of wreckage. Victorious, we drive off in a city that now bows to the Saints. 2/3 of it is ours, and there's only one gang left standing in our way. We also managed to snag Price's custom ride and his compound as a reward.
That was a hell of an explosion. You okay, player?
I got ran over by a motherfucking truck. What you think?
Oh, quit being a bitch.
With the Vice Kings politically dismantled and the Rollers racing empire smeared across Stillwater's highways, it's time to turn our attention to the last and arguably deadliest gang left standing, Los Carnales. Now technically you can tackle these gangs in any order, but for my story, I saved those guys for last. Why? Because they aren't just another street crew with muscle cars or city council connections. The Carnales are a full-blown cartel operation, with a body count to match. And unlike the Rollers, they don't flex horsepower to scare you. They've got actual firepower, blood ties, and a zero patience policy for screw-ups. The Los Carnales is the oldest gang in Stillwater, and they've been running drugs longer than some of the players have been alive.
The Carnales.
What?
Rio Grande River. Jesus.
What the fuck?
It's not the Los Carnales, it's just the Carnales. Los means... Fuck it.
Back when Julius and Ben King still had decent hairlines, they founded the Vice Kings, specifically to push back against Los Carnales' stranglehold on the streets. But while the Kings eventually went corporate and caught a case of moral ambiguity, the Carnales doubled down, became stronger, sharper, and far more violent. Their edge is a direct line to the Colombian drug trade, courtesy of the supplier named Manuel. The connection gives them everything: money, drugs, manpower, basically a villain starter pack with unlimited ammo. The Vice Kings had lobbyists, the Carnales have rocket launchers. Running the show are the Lopez brothers, Hector and Angelo. Hector is the older brother, and he runs the gang like a Fortune 500 company. If CEOs made business decisions by chain smoking cigars and throwing rivals into wood chippers. The guy doesn't blink, he doesn't bluff, and he doesn't believe in mercy. Angelo, on the other hand, is a walking case study in unchecked testosterone. He's flashy, loud, and constantly trying to prove he's more than just Hector's kid brother. The only reason anyone listens to him is because of Victor Rodriguez, Los Carnales' top enforcer, and the reason Stillwater's bullet supply is always on back order. Victor is built like a refrigerator, has the personality of a bad hangover, and somehow survives more explosions than your average Marvel character. He doesn't talk much, but then again, he doesn't have to. He just shows up, stares down the room, and everyone either runs or dies. If Manuel is the bankroll, Victor is the blunt instrument. When we return to the church after flattening the Rollers, Dex is already waiting. He's focused and clearly ready to move. He lays out a plan. Los Carnales are different. Taking them down isn't about making a statement, it's about survival. Step 1, we go straight for the drug trade. Dex sends us to torch 2 Carnales drug labs. No clever plans, no stealth, just gasoline, gunfire, and the type of property damage that keeps insurance companies in business. The idea is to choke off their revenue and rattle their Colombian pipeline. I mean, you can't smuggle what you can't cook, right? After turning their meth kitchens into abstract art, we regroup with Dex and Troy to plan the next hit. Troy suggests that we raid one of their cut houses, but Dex shoots that down like it's a bad Tinder match. Cops try that all the time, he says, and it never works. Nobody argues. I mean, at least not out loud. Instead, Dex proposes stealing a truck from Carnalis' warehouse. He won't say why it's important, just that it is. Troy pushes for answers, but again, Dex shuts him down. Tells him to stop asking questions and to learn from us. Be more quiet, efficient, and apparently part-time movers now.
I'm just saying it would be nice to know. Shit, Troy, what's with all the questions? Why can't you be like my man over here? Look, Dex, could you go get that truck? See? Was that so hard?
And surprise, Troy tags along this time. His job is to hotwire the truck. Ours is to keep him from dying while he does it. On the way to the docks, he vents to us. Says he signed up to clean up the road, not expand our portfolio into narco logistics. He's starting to worry that we're becoming the very thing we swore to destroy. I mean, which is fair. It's a little hard to take the moral high ground when you're defending a truck full of mysterious cargo from men with AKs. Still, we get the truck, fight our way back, and make it home in one piece. Well, mostly. And it's mission accomplished, but Troy's words stick. Not everyone's on board with where the Saints are headed, and the road ahead is only going to get bloodier, so we need to stick together. While Dex is all brewing whatever top secret plan he's cooking up to end Los Carnales, we decide to keep busy the only way we know how, by blowing shit up. This time, it's a Carnales-owned factory posing as legit business. The place is a front for a weapons manufacturer, and judging by the firepower coming out of it, business is booming. So we roll up, kick the doors in, and start introducing their security team to a little concept we call early retirement. Between the gunfire and the liberal application of explosive, the place goes from active operation to smoking crater in record time. We barely clear the blast radius before the whole building erupts into a fireball. I don't think OSHA would approve. Cut to the Los Carnales compound. It's the kind of estate that just says drug empire, louder than a platinum grill with diamonds spelling out money. There's a pool, marble tile, palm trees, probably imported from the same country they also import their cocaine. Hector and Angelo are holding court at a shaded poolside table, joined by Victor and Manuel. They're deep in conversation about an upcoming Colombian shipment. Something big enough that Hector wants Angelo to oversee it personally. Of course, nothing ever goes smoothly when you got ego, testosterone, and unresolved family issues in the same room, though. Enter Luz. Luz is Angelo's girlfriend, and she's sunbathing nearby in a bikini that probably costs more than a new car. She overhears Hector's orders and immediately starts throwing shade. Angelo had promised to take her shopping, a trip that apparently outranks international drug business. Angelo tries to dodge the assignment by passing it off to Victor, because of course you would. If I had a 7-foot-tall murder machine on my payroll, I'd probably delegate it too. But Hector shuts that down fast. This isn't optional. He wants this overseen by somebody that he truly trusts. Luz, now visibly annoyed, gets up to leave. That's when Manuel, the cartel's money guy and official sleaze ambassador, leans in with a smug smile, stating that if Angelo's too busy, he'd be happy to take her shopping. While it seems like an innocent offer, it's clearly not. And he doesn't say the quiet part out loud, but it's written all over his face. He could steal Angelo's girl, and probably their turf too. As Louise walks away, Manuel watches her go like he's mentally composing a love letter and a grocery list all at the same time, making another comment that that's a whole lot of woman. Before Angelo can explode, or Manuel gets slapped, Hector's phone rings, and his smile vanishes. He listens for a moment and then hangs up. The table goes silent, waiting for him to say something. Looks like we finally got their attention. And Hector doesn't take the bad news well, especially when it involves his enemies torching one of his drug labs. The call barely ends before Hector's barking orders. He wants Angelo and Victor to load up. It's time to take out the Saints for good. As all this is going down, our playa and several of the Saints are chilling at the church, when one of our lieutenants runs in like the building's on fire. He's bleeding, limping, and clearly pissed. Apparently, Los Carnales have hit the row and have taken out a bunch of our soldiers.
Got a problem, Dex.
What's going on?
The Los Carnales are attacking.
It's not the Los Carnales. Jesus, what's wrong with you?
Dex, they attacking the row.
He gives us the play-by-play, a full-blown assault. Bullets flying, bodies dropping, it's pure chaos. But the Saints managed to hold their ground, if just barely. They managed to corner Angelo, had him dead to rights, until Victor showed up. The man moved through the firefight like a pissed-off freight train. One of the Saints actually managed to land a shot that drew some blood, which is the first time anyone's ever seen Victor bleed, and he didn't even blink. He just kept moving, smashing through our guys like they were drywall. Angelo escaped with him, but they left a mess behind. So now the row is crawling with Carnales foot soldiers, and it's time for us to take out the trash. So we hit the streets, house by house, block by block, and we take back our turf. When the smoke clears, Saints Row is ours again. Back at the church, Dex finally unveils his master plan. So remember that truck we stole from the Carnales like 6 missions ago? Turns out it wasn't just a flex. It's the key to our next move. And Dex's plan is pretty simple. Trojan horse. We pack the truck with our best shooters, roll straight into one of the Carnales main drug factories, and hit them from the inside. But this time there's a twist. We're not blowing it up. We're taking it. He wants the operation intact. No fire, no explosions, just a hostile takeover with bullets and ambition. We're not here to send a message, we're here to expand. So we suit up and roll out. The factory's pretty heavily guarded, but they never see us coming. We bust in from inside, take out the guards, and fight through a literal haze of chemicals and blood. Carnales are everywhere, more soldiers than usual, probably expecting retaliation. After an all-out brawl, we clear the last room, and the factory's ours. The production lines, the equipment, the product, it all now belongs to the Saints. And this isn't just a victory, it's a declaration. We're not the same street gang anymore, we are officially building our empire. We've just taken over one of the Carnales' key drug factories, and it's not just a win, it's a seismic shift. With the operation still intact and under our control, we are officially in the drug game now. No longer are we just a street gang making noise, we're running a piece of the drug trade, and that changes everything. And of course, word of our takeover spreads fast, and it doesn't take long before it reaches the Colombians. Pressure on Los Carnales is starting to mount, their grip is slipping, and their partners are getting nervous. This is where we cut back to the Los Carnales compound again, and things are going about as well as a vasectomy with a rusted butter knife. Hector's sitting there pretending like the house isn't on fire while Manuel grills him hard. He's heard the Colombians are getting cold feet, and he wants answers. Hector brushes it off, says it's all just bad luck and a saint-sized coincidence, because drug empires collapse all the time due to coincidences. Manuel is not buying it. He hits Hector with the real heat and says that his father would have wrapped this up days ago, probably with a bullet, a body bag, and a bottle of tequila. Hector bites back immediately, saying that he's not his father, which, I mean, yeah, no shit. His father ran an empire. Hector can't even run dinner without an argument and a broken plate. Manuel just smirks, like he's a man who knows the punchline to a joke about Hector's tiny metaphorical cojones. Before this testosterone pissing contest can turn into an actual shootout, a loud crash cuts through the tension. Sounds like a plate, maybe a vase, or maybe someone's broken dignity. Enter Luz, again, screaming, furious, and dramatic as hell. Angelo's following right behind her, mid-domestic meltdown ensuing. They're arguing about God knows what, love, lies, or maybe someone forgot to delete their search history. Whatever it is, it's loud, it's messy, and completely on brand for the couple whose love language is yelling and property damage. Hector finally loses it and shouts at them like an angry dad. Orders them inside and slams the door. Manuel just watches amused. He gets up, brushes off his jacket like he didn't just watch a drug cartel unravel over a lover's quarrel and daddy issues, and drops a line on his way out. Yeah, clearly, you've got everything under control. He adds that when the rest of the Colombians arrive, he'll make sure that this mess gets cleaned up. Translation? The Lopez brothers are on borrowed time, and rent's due. But we're not lighting our cigars in victory just yet. There's still a few Carnales strongholds stinking up the city, and it's time for some good old-fashioned Saint-style pest control. The first stop is the docks. We jack a forklift, load it up with bricks of coke, and start launching the product into the river, like it's a cocaine shot put at the Narco Olympics. We're honking the horn, flipping off security guards, and one of our guys strips naked just to make it weirder. Next is the refinery. It's a big operation, heavy guards, and more red barrels than common sense. We smash through the front, drop bodies like we're hosting a surprise funeral, and once we painted the walls with bullets and bad intentions, we tagged the place with so many Saints logos that it looks like a gang-themed theme park. And finally, the warehouse. It's a fortress, packed wall to wall with Carnales soldiers. They brought guns, but we brought bigger ones, and grenades. We breach, we blast, and we hold the place long enough for our backup to arrive. It's a war zone, but by the end, the Saints flag is flying, and their last warehouse is ours. With their last operation dismantled, their cash flow drier than a nun's nightstand, and their grip on still water slipping faster than Dex's hairline, the time has come, and so have we. We're finally making a run at Los Carnales' leadership and putting a bullet between Hector's smug eyebrows. We link up with Dex and Troy at Friendly Fire, the local gun shop, just as they're drooling over some serious heat. The McManus sniper rifle. It's big, it's loud, and probably compensating for something. And tonight, Mr. McManus is going to deliver a love letter to Hector, signed in blood and delivered at muzzle velocity.
This is the McManus. As you see, it's fully collapsible and comes in a stately black attaché. The 18-inch cryogenically treated stainless steel bull barrel gives this rifle a guaranteed accuracy of .2 minute of angle at 600 yards with match-grade ammunition.
So after we jacked that last warehouse, Dex had found a note revealing that Hector is scheduled to meet with the Colombians later tonight. Jackpot. So Dex lays out the plan. We're crashing that meeting, dropping Hector, and letting the ensuing paranoia turn the Colombians and the Carnales into an impromptu episode of Narcos, the shit show edition. So we roll out to the docks. It's quiet, it's tense, and already crawling with more heat than we need. Apparently, the Colombians brought their own rocket-happy Boy Scouts because the trust between cartels is about as real as Troy's street cred. Still, we press on. Reach a vantage point, and line up a shot. Everything's in place. We wait for Hector to show himself, wait for the deal to begin, and then boom. Hector takes a bullet nap and all hell breaks loose. Rockets fly, goons scream, bodies hit the floor like a dubstep beat drop. We're dancing rooftop to rooftop, dodging explosions and playing sharpshooter roulette with both sides. Somehow, we managed to make it out alive. Mostly because we're just too damn sexy to die. Cue the cops rolling in late as hell. They start rounding up what's left, and one of them casually mentions they were anonymously tipped off. Which is interesting because only a few people knew about the plan. So who snitched? We'll have to hold that thought because Victor, the human refrigerator, somehow survived. While the cops are busy playing cleanup, Victor's already gone full cockroach, scuttling into a hole, waiting for the heat to pass. And once he's in the clear, he does what any good psychopathic warlord would do. He calls Angelo. Cut to Angelo. He's in the middle of other activities. Louise is apologizing for their earlier argument in a way that doesn't require dialogue. Angelo's distracted, pantsless, and only half listening as Victor breaks the news. But the second Hector's name comes up among the body count, Angelo flips out, swearing vengeance on the Colombians before betraying him. But first, he gives Victor one simple order: wipe the Saints off the map. For good. Back at the church, the Saints decide to take one more piece off the board. The big dog, Manuel. He's the real brains behind Los Carnales, but instead of just blowing his brains out, Dex comes up with a pretty ingenious plan. He wants us to buy the product, undercut the Los Carnales, make money, and hurt them from the inside. A win-win-win in my book. So the plan is to catch Manuel at a strip club that he visits every time he's in town. Dex rides shotgun but insists he does all the talking, despite the player only having 3 voice lines and not really being much of a conversationalist. Too bad Victor crashes the party like a wrecking ball. There's no Manuel in sight, just Victor and absolute chaos. What follows is a wild, explosive chase across Stillwater. Cars flip, bodies fly, explosions light up the night. Victor's truck is eventually blown sky high in a massive fireball, but somehow he still manages to survive. Dude, this guy's harder to kill than a cockroach, I swear. Back at the church, the Saints regroup. Julius is waiting, and he's pissed. He lays into Dex for trying to deal with the Colombians behind his back. It was more than just a mistake on Dex's part. Julius sees it as a betrayal. Seems like the cracks in the Saints' leadership is starting to show. Even though the meeting with Manuel never happened, Julius is right. They should have come clean. Eventually, he exhales, pissed and resolved. What's done is done. It's time to move forward. And then the bullets start flying. The Carnales launch a full-scale assault on the church. Explosions shake the foundation, Saints are cut down, and in the middle of it all, Victor steps into the fight for one last battle. It's brutal, it's bloody, but in the end, Victor falls. But he doesn't make it easy. We blow up his car, he still survives, and we unload a literal gun store's worth of bullets into this guy before he finally drops. But with that, Los Carnales are finished. Effectively, their leaders are dead or in custody, and Stillwater belongs to the Saints. But something doesn't sit right. It's the timing, the anonymous tips, the way it all fell into place just a little bit too neatly. But before we have time to wonder how the cops keep getting tipped off about our every move, we get word from Manuel. With Victor dead, he's ready to sit down and talk. So Julius goes to meet with him, but of course, we're not invited to the secret clubhouse. So whatever went down there, one thing's clear. We finally have a shot at cutting off Los Carnales' drug supply for good. Manuel's fed up, Hector's gone, Victor's gone, and Angelo's too weak to hold the reins, so Manuel throws in with the Saints. But he's got one hell of a catch. He wants us to snatch back the drug shipment that the cops seized when we took out Hector. We get the shipment back, only then does Manuel forgive and forget, and then the Saints gain control of all the drug trade in Stillwater. So we load up, one last heist, one big score, and then the city is ours for the taking. Dex meets up with us and Troy back at the church to spill the details of the deal, and of course, Dex has a plan. But this time, it's straight out of Johnny Gat's playbook. He wants to storm the police precinct holding the drugs, gun blazings, no question asked. Troy, however, is surprisingly squeamish about all the bloodshed. Yeah, you heard that right. After we just wiped out the city's entire gang population, racking up a death toll in the thousands and leaving behind a property damage bill that could bankrupt a small country, Troy suddenly wants to play Mr. Compassionate and veto a police assault. Instead, Troy pitches a safer idea. Rig a car with explosives, blow a hole in the police precinct's side near the evidence locker, snatch the drugs, and vanish before the cops know what hit them.
No, we don't. If you load a car up with some explosives, you could blow a hole right into the evidence locker and never have to fire a shot.
That might lower the body count.
That's what I'm saying. All right, let's do it.
Somehow, Troy actually knows the layout of the precinct and the exact location of the evidence locker. It's like he's been casing the place for weeks or something. It's less messy, and there'll be less casualties, and probably less fun if we're gonna be honest. And surprisingly, Troy's plan actually goes off mostly without a hitch. We roll up to the precinct, smooth as hell, no alarms blaring, no SWAT teams crashing through the wall. Blow the side wall on the precinct, and the robbery commences. And while our crew hauls the goods into the truck, we've got to hold the line. Waves of pissed off cops come swarming in, guns blazing, trying to take us down. Somehow, against all odds, We managed to hold our ground long enough for the boys to load up the shipment. Then, after a short chaotic chase through the city streets, we finally shake the cops off our tail, leaving behind a baffled police force and a city wondering what the hell just happened. But we ride off into the sunset, drugs in hand, victory on our side, and the whole damn town none the wiser. Back at the Los Carnales compound, Angelo's officially lost the plot. Hector and Victor are dead, and Manuel's throwing in with the Saints. He convinces himself that Manuel's been playing him from the start, that he sold out Hector, betrayed the Carnales, and has been secretly working with us all along. The guy's spiraling, paranoid, and way too dangerous to be left alive.
Angelo, what are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing?
It looks like you're running off to get killed.
Yo no le tengo miedo a Orejuela.
Ay, come on. You don't think Manuel is responsible.
Are you protecting him?
You
want to be with him? Nunca, man.
Meanwhile, we're sealing the deal that'll put the final nail in the Carnales' coffin. Julius, Dex, and the player meet Manuel's usual place of business, because of course it's a strip club, and shake hands on the agreement. The Saints take control of the drug pipeline, and Los Carnales gets buried. But just as the ink's about to dry, Angelo bursts in, starts letting off shots, trying to take out Manuel in a hail of bullets. He's out for blood, screaming Hector's name like it's a war cry. But what he doesn't expect is us. The Saints fire back, and Angelo's forced to retreat, limping away before he can finish what he started. We're ready to go after him and end it once and for all. But then Manuel steps in. Grateful we saved his life, he gives us a golden ticket, the exact location of Los Carnales' compound, their last stronghold. But he also asks a favor from us. He wants us to leave Luz alive if possible. Apparently he's taking a liking to her and wants to make that his main squeeze. Before we head out, Dex makes it clear that he's coming with us, says he wants to make sure Angelo gets exactly what's coming to him. We hit the compound hard, and of course, it's all out chaos. Gunfire, explosions, and bodies dropping left and right. By the time the dust starts to settle, there's barely anything left of the Carnales but smoke and bad memories. We finally corner Angelo inside of the main building. Bloodied and desperate, he pulls a trigger and tries to end it right there, only to hear that lovely click. Empty. The dumb bastard forgot to reload. We put a round into him, but he's slippery. Wounded but still breathing, he stumbles out and makes a break for it, hopping into a car and tearing off. We almost lose him, but Dex isn't about to let that happen. He jacks the Carnales ride without missing a beat, and we're off, racing through Stillwater in a high-speed chase that's half demolition derby, half revenge fantasy. But Angelo's running on fumes and fury, and somehow, that works for him. He guns it toward a drawbridge mid-rise, hits the gas, and pulls off the kind of stunt you only see in bad action movies. He got away, for now, so we decide to head back to the church. We barely catch our breath back at the church before Dex pulls up. Apparently one of our boys spotted Angelo, he's making a break for it and heading for the airport. Looks like he's trying to skip town and regroup. And just like that, it's back on.
Hey man, we don't got time. One of Troy's crew saw Angelo driving to the airport. We gotta stop his ass before he can skip town and rebuild.
If Angelo makes it out of the country, we're not just letting him off the hook. We're leaving the door wide open for payback. And the Saints don't run scared. So we floor it, racing towards the airport, hell-bent on cutting him off before his flight can take off and our next war begins. We somehow make it to the airport just in time. Angelo's already on the runway, pacing like a man who knows the walls are closing in. But luck, or stupidity, is on our side. He's still waiting for Luz, who apparently can't find her designer shoes and is refusing to leave without them. That's when we roll in, guns drawn and engine roaring. Angelo panics, screams at his men to start the plane and to leave without Luz. He's ready to ditch her, the crew, the empire, everything, just to save his own skin. But we're not about to let him fly off into the sunset. We light that plane up. Bullets shred through the fuselage, engines catch on fire, and in one final explosion of metal, flame, and desperation, Angelo dies the way he lived. Loud, selfish, and going down alone. As the wreckage burns behind us, Luz shows up breathless and terrified. But we let her go. Call it a gift to Manuel.
Oh my God!
What are you doing here?
I was supposed to leave with Angelo.
So what's in here? Guns? Money? Some uncut shit? Shoes?
Actually, they're this season's new.
Hey, bullshit. That's last year's fall collection.
That's not true.
Just let it go, man. No reason to piss off Manuel. Let's get going.
So, what am I supposed to do now?
I don't fucking care.
I have no place to go.
See, answer A.
But you can't just leave me here.
Bitch, you're trying my patience.
She disappears into smoke, barefoot and broken, and we stand there, watching as Stillwater glows purple in the night. It's our city now. With the three major gangs crushed and Stillwater kneeling at our feet, we head back to the church, and the crew's all there to celebrate. Johnny, Dex, Troy, everyone. Spirits are high, guns are down, and for the first time in a long while, we're ready to party. And then the phone rings. It's Julius. He's tying up some loose ends on his side, but he's got news. Big news. We've earned it. Not just respect, not just turf, but a seat at the top. From this moment on, we're his right hand and second in command of the 3rd Street Saints. As the call winds down, we hear sirens wailing faintly in the background.
Earn yourself a break. You've impressed the hell out of me, son. And I told the crew, you gonna be my right hand. Hold up. Some berry just turned on his flashes. Yeah, player. I think I'm gonna have to call you back.
We lower the phone and look around at the crew. Our crew now. And then out at the city that we bled for. Stillwater belongs to the Saints. Fade to black and roll credits. And that's it, right? The Vice Kings, the Rollers, Los Carnales, they're all gone. We did what we set out to do. The city is ours. The gang war is over. So now it's time to kick back, light a cigar, and soak in the empire we built from the ground up. Right? Wrong. As soon as you load back into the game, your phone rings. And it's Police Chief Monroe, formerly known as Benjamin King's lapdog. Turns out, those cops that were following Julius snatched him up. And they're not just any badge flashers, they're on Monroe's payroll. And now he's calling in a favor. He says we owe him big time for all the chaos that we caused, for all the bodies in the streets and the fireballs on the freeway. And if we ever want to see Julius again, we're going to pay that debt in blood. Specifically, the blood of mayoral candidate Marshall Winslow. Monroe wants us to hit Winslow's campaign bus mid-route, hijack it, and park it somewhere special, on the train tracks. So we go to work. We fight through a wall of high-level security, dodge bullets like it's a Sunday sport, and jack the campaign bus with Winslow still babbling inside. We drive it to the edge of the line and wait for the train, and step back just in time to watch Stillwater's next would-be mayor turn into an electoral smear. And that should be the end of it, but the game just changed. After we finish Monroe's dirty work and watch the mayoral candidate become modern art on the train tracks, we head back to the church. Dex and Johnny are already there. They're pacing and pissed, but no sign of Troy, and that's not a good sign. We barely have time to ask where he is before Monroe calls again. And he's being real casual, like we're old buddies, but this time he's not calling to say thanks. Nah, he's calling to move the goalposts. Says Julius isn't going free just yet, and apparently blowing up a political candidate isn't enough community service in Stillwater. He wants more. Says he'll be in touch. But Johnny's had enough and he wants off this leash. He says we should sit back hard, like blow up City Hall and send a message so loud even the devil covers his ears. But Dex, as always, has a better plan, which kind of sucks because I did want to blow up City Hall. I thought that would have been an awesome set piece. But so instead of City Hall, he says we take a shot at Monroe during Winslow's funeral. Big public event, high security, but if we do it right, Monroe won't see it coming.
Marshall Winslow was a major public figure, and you can bet your ass that people would ask questions if the chief of police wasn't at his funeral. I say we hit Monroe during the funeral procession. That should show whoever he's working with that we're not fucking around.
You're saying we should assassinate the chief of police while he's at the funeral of the guy we just smashed?
Yeah.
Don't tease me, Dex.
The three of us head out and stake our claim along the funeral procession route. Dex takes to the rooftops, Johnny posts up nearby with a rifle and a chip on his shoulder, and we take position on the ground waiting for the show to start. Soon enough, the convoy rolls in. Black suits, black cars, and even blacker hearts. But we're not here for mourning, we're here for Monroe. And there he is, tucked inside of a police cruiser like he owns the city. Guess he thought hiding behind a badge would save him. But he was wrong, so we shoulder our rocket launcher, take one shot, and the cop car becomes a fireball on wheels, flipping into the air like the exclamation point this war truly needed. And of course, the cops don't take this line down. They flood the street with guns blazing, but Dex and Johnny rain down hell from above, giving us the perfect window to disappear in the chaos. Monroe's gone, Stillwater just got a little bit cleaner, and now it's time to get Julius back. As we slip away from the cops, our phone rings again. This time, it's none other than the alderman and mayoral candidate, Richard Hughes.
Hello there, young man. This is Alderman Hughes. That was quite a message you sent at Winslow's funeral. And trust me, I heard it loud and clear.
Turns out he's the real power pulling strings behind the former Chief Monroe's crooked reign. Hughes is a ruthless politician, with his sights set on the mayor's office. And now that the gangs are crushed and Julius is in his grip, he wants to bend the Saints to his will. His personal hit squad to wipe out any competition and cement his iron grip on the city. Without missing a beat, Hughes invites us to meet him alone on his yacht, a not-so-subtle summons to negotiate Julius's release. But of course, it's a trap. I mean, everyone knows it, but we can't just leave Julius behind. So we board the yacht. Richard Hughes greets us with a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes and launches into a smug monologue about how everything has gone exactly to plan, typical movie villain stuff. With the gangs gone and the Saints under pressure, he'll remake Stillwater into something, well, not you. Something clean and something controlled. Something that is his. As he drones on, the stream cuts to a montage, a slow haunting goodbye to the city as we knew it. Luz sits alone staring out at the skyline, clutching one of Angelo's old change. Benjamin King walks the empty halls of Kingdom Come Records, haunted by everything he gave up. Donnie fiddles with a broken engine part in a junkyard. Back home, Johnny Gat's passed out on the bed unbothered, with a gun in his lap and a smirk on his face. Aisha sits on the bed beside him, glancing at the time, waiting for somebody who might never return. And then we see Julius, and he's walking the streets of Stillwater. He's free. There's no cuffs, no guards, just out, and that's not right. And then comes a twist that flips everything sideways. We see Troy standing alone on a bridge overlooking the yacht. He reaches into his coat and pulls out a badge. Undercover the whole time. Back on the boat, we interrupt Hughes' little speech with a line that cuts him short. He barely has time to respond before...
So I figured I'd cut the middleman and get right to the point.
Hey, yo, can you speed this shit up? I want to go to Freckle Bitches.
You're going to die here, son. Make no mistake about that. But if it makes it any easier on you, I'll be sure to thank you in my acceptance speech. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a party to...
The yacht erupts in a roaring fireball, sending flames and debris into the sky. Hughes, his guards, the press on board, and presumably the playa all vanish in the explosion. As the screen fades to black, a haunting instrumental rolls in. The camera lingers on the burning wreckage drifting in the harbor, and then silence. And that's when the real credits roll. The playa's story has come to an end, not with a crown, but with a crater, and the reign of the Saints is over, presumably. And that, folks, marks the end of the first game in the Saints Row series. All in all, I had an absolute blast playing this game. The gameplay was gripping, the missions were intense, and the character voice acting, top-notch across the board. This game was just genuinely fun. I must have spent dozens of hours roaming Stillwater when it first came out. Honestly, I've always preferred Saints Row to Grand Theft Auto. There's just something about the over-the-top, non-serious, raunchy vibe that really clicked with me. And those adult themes, they were like pure cocaine to my kid brain when I first played this game. For a title that's nearly 20 years old at the time of this recording, it holds up surprisingly well. The graphics still look great, and again, the voice acting deserves major praise. They've really knocked it out of the park. But what caught me most off guard was the story. In games like this, the narrative is usually just there to string missions together, an excuse to throw grenades and whip out rocket launchers. But Saints Row had some actual depth to it. The slow burn mystery around Troy's true identity, the questions surrounding Julius, and the final gut punch ending, it was way more compelling than I expected. Even though the game left me with more questions than answers, it definitely nailed the Troy reveal. There was subtle dots sprinkled through the game that hinted at him being an undercover cop, like if you really sit and think about it, Troy never wanted to be involved in the missions that involved killing. He was constantly against the Saints' more extreme ideals, especially anything tied to drugs. The major flags, they popped up anytime the police were involved. Troy was always the first to protest if it meant taking the lives of innocent officers. One moment that really stood out to me was during the mission for Manuel when we had to retrieve the drug shipment. Troy didn't want anything to do with raiding the police precinct. That struck me as odd. By that point in the game, we had racked up a huge body count. I mean, we were nearing the final act and suddenly Troy has a moral line. And on top of that, he knew the police layout like the back of his hands. He directed us to the exact location of the evidence lockers. And that struck me. I remember thinking, that's kind of weird. How does he know where the evidence lockers are? Another red flag was during the planning phase to take down Los Carnales. Dex was coming up with the plan, and Troy suggested a tactic that Dex immediately called out as something that cops always tried. That moment said a lot.
What if we came from here and here? No, they'd just see it coming. Cops try that shit all the time and it never works.
Even after possibly years undercover, Troy still thought like a cop. He couldn't shake it, no matter how deep in he was. I mean, what an incredible twist. It caught me off guard the first time I saw it, and even now, replaying it with fresh eyes, all those moments just hit a little different. It's one of those rare reveals in gaming that feels completely earned when you go back and connect the dots. And unfortunately, it isn't until Saints Row 2 that we get closure. But this game laid the foundation for something special, and even now, it still has me hooked. All in all, I definitely think you should play this game. I recommend it for anyone who has the hardware, whether that's, one of the older Xboxes so you can play it on, or if you get it on Steam or PC, even if you have to emulate it. This game is worth playing. And with Volition now shut down, it's highly unlikely that we'll ever get another Saints Row game. But anyway, that's my take on it. Thank you so much for sticking with me through the whole ride. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. It's a free way to support the channel, and it honestly means the world to me. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.